Snowmageddon here on Long Island, hence why I'm wearing a blanket. Yes, that's Luigi's face. No further questions. Since last week was a whole bunch of Marvel news, I figured this week we'll talk a lot about what's going on with DC. And there was some stuff to talk about. Let's get the movie news out of the way first. They've delayed the Batman-Superman movie to 2016. It was originally supposed to come out next year in 2015, but I think this is good. You know, give them more time to develop the story and not make it feel so rushed. To anybody out there who thinks this is a bad sign, A, movies get delayed all the time, so it's not a big deal. And B, we want this to be as good as humanly possible, so let them take their time. Ben Affleck recently brought in his scriptwriter for Argo to go over the script for Batman Superman. So maybe by go over they mean completely redo and make better. Because Argo is awesome. But nobody cares about movies, so let's talk about comic books. It was announced last week that the character Wally West will be making his return to the DC Universe in April. For those of you who don't know, throughout the years there have been multiple people who've had the identity of the Flash. The two most prominent were Barry Allen and Wally West. Barry Allen was the Flash from 1956 to 1986. He's probably the most popular and well-known version of the Flash. Now, Wally West originally started off as a sidekick named Kid Flash before inheriting the Flash mantle in '86. For a whole generation of fans, myself included, he was the Flash. He was the Flash in the Justice League cartoon. He was the Flash in all the games that came out around that era. I think I even have an action figure of him. Hold on. Nope, that's books. Okay, it's somewhere. And then in 2008, they brought Barry Allen back to become the de facto Flash once again. And before they could figure out what to do with Wally West, the New 52 happened, rebooted the whole universe, and left Barry Allen as the one and only Flash. And it sucked because this meant another one of our favorite characters was just erased from existence, like it never happened. And that's one of the biggest annoyances of the New 52. But with Stephanie Brown also returning and now Wally West, it looks like DC's finally bringing in all of our favorite characters from the old universe. So it looks like everything's slowly getting back to normal. Although if the cover for Flash Annual number 3 is any indication, I don't know why Wally West's costume is blue. I get you don't want Wally West to look too much like Barry Allen like they did in the old universe, but the Flash is red. It's just the way it is. See, color is more important than most people think when it comes to superhero comics. Color is part of their identity. And I'm talking about just costumes, not skin color. That's a topic for somebody much smarter than me. Changing the color of a character's costume can drastically alter who the character is. There are all these really great art pieces on the internet of like minimalistic heroes or something like that where it's just the color of the hero's costume and you know it's that hero just by looking at the color. Superman is red, yellow, and blue. That's it. You throw green in there and that just screws everything up. But again, this is just the first image, so who knows? Maybe it'll change. Maybe it's not even Wally. Maybe it's Barry. Who knows? Moving on to more depressing news. Writer Kyle Higgins has announced that issue 29 of Nightwing will be his last issue on that book. Also, Scott Lobdell announced that Teen Titans will be ending with issue 30, but I'll be honest, that book sucks, and I haven't liked anything Scott Lobdell has done in DC since the New 52, so I don't care. But Kyle Higgins leaving Nightwing I do care about because his work on that book made it one of the best books of DC's lineup. And judging from the post he left on his Facebook page, it doesn't look like he's doing this voluntarily. Now, DC just released their solicits for April, and Nightwing number 30 is going to be written by James Tynionn, T-Y-N-I-O-N the fourth. Yes, him. He's okay, but Kyle Higgins has just become so synonymous with New 52 Nightwing, and he's done so much for the character that it's really sad to see his era ending. Not only that, but based on the April solicits, it's heavily speculated that issue 30 of Nightwing will be the last issue of the series. The synopsis reads as follows. The Bat family is forced to face the brutal aftermath of Forever Evil, but after everything they've been through, can they stand together? Can they? Not only that, this is the cover to issue 30. That looks like a final issue cover if you ask me. So what's going on here? What's going on here? Why is Kyle Higgins leaving? Are they really canceling Nightwing? Nobody's really saying one way or the other, but I have a theory. My theory is that DC did want to cancel Nightwing in April based on what's going on in the Forever Evil crossover, and Kyle Higgins must have disagreed with that direction. Which, spoilers in case you don't know what's going on in Forever Evil, Nightwing had its identity revealed to the world and is currently being tortured by the crime syndicate. So yeah. Not in a good place. And as we've seen with Andy Diggle on Action Comics, George Perez with Superman, and J.H. Williams III and W. Hayden Blackman on Batwoman, if you disagree with DC editorial, you're off the book. That's it. Done. No questions asked. Hey, J.H. Williams and Hayden Blackman leaving Batwoman was the topic of my first video. Shameless plug. Speaking of shameless plugs about my videos, few weeks back, I talked about how it seemed like DC was gearing up for a big Nightwing revolution. Having his book canceled flies in the face of all that. So if they really want to push Nightwing, it would help if he had a book. But for all I know, I could be wrong. It could be that James IV is going to do the Nightwing ongoing, and that issue 30 will be the end of one era and the start of a new one. Also, Kyle Higgins still seems to be on good terms with DC. He's still going to be writing the excellent Batman Beyond 2.0, and he's going to be doing an issue of Secret Origins later in the year. So maybe there's all this worrying for nothing, but I've seen this happen too many times now with DC Comics to not think the same thing's going to happen again. It's funny because a few months back there was all this talk that DC had a summit with their writers telling them that there's going to be much less editorial interference. Now this stuff's happening. I don't know, tell me what you think. Do you think there's something fishy going on with Kyle Higgins leaving Nightwing? Leave it in the comments below. Also, if you like Scott Lobdell's work, especially his Teen Titans stuff, let me know that too, because I still can't figure out why people like that. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you really like the video, and share with your friends if you really, really like this video. I will see you next time. Now the team consists of the Miles Morales Spider-Man, Kitty Pryde, Cloak and Dagger, a new Black Widow, and a new character named Bombshell. Who's Bombshell?
Because Luke is like he's like $150.
Tiny man. And Mark Hamill is no longer a tiny man.
Oh my god, he's massive.
I tell you, that's what happens when you sit behind a mic doing the voice of the Joker for 20 years.
You know what? I heard he loves McDonald's.